saying if you're in the Epstein files, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a pedophile. Does that surprise you at all?
Um, yeah, it does a little bit. I will say what surprised me even more has been the amount of MAGA supporters that you've seen flipping that this was the line. Like we can all debate, like I thought the line should have been January 6th, but whatever it is, I'll take it at this point. So seeing how many people are really flipping on Donald Trump and being like, okay, you're clearly hiding something. And now you've got lawyers, from the DOJ, which used to claim Biden and the Democrats weaponized against you all the time. Now you've got them going and doing your dirty bidding. And in my opinion, making a deal with Ghislaine Maxwell. And my prediction is this: it's not going to be a pardon. It's going to be a reduced sentence down to time served for her giving names. But the flip side is going to be that she's going to make a deal that she's not going to name Trump and probably a few other people.
I tend to agree with you on that. Do you think there is anybody with an IQ over 20 that thinks the reason why Trump's DOJ is now speaking to Maxwell is because they actually want the truth? Do you really think that people out there, Ryan, are that stupid that they believe that?
Unfortunately, and I mean that in all sincerity. If people reacted the way that a lot of us rational people thought they would, we would have been done with Trump years ago. But we're here because people do buy into this stuff. They do believe the smoke instead of the evidence.
Yeah.
They believe the con over reality. Mm-hmm. And it's like everybody on our side seems to be trying to figure out, how do we combat this effectively? Like, how do you combat a movement that is literally based on willful ignorance? Because they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to better themselves. It's like I've said 100 times on transgender issue. 5 years ago, I was an idiot. I purposely went out and made some friends, educated myself on NCAA rules, what they had to go through before they could even compete. Like, I went out and purposely educated myself so that I could stop being an idiot. And I wish more MAGA people would finally just go, you know what? This is it, man. Like, he's clearly covering this up. And now, are we going to see an unredacted version of these files? Absolutely not. Pam Bondi's, it's already coming out. Pam Bondi knew about this back in like February, March. So they've been cleaning these files up. And when we see them, there's barely going to be mention of Trump. It'll be all the things we already knew, and everything else will be gone.
It's interesting, Ryan, because, for years I've been saying this for years, even when I was on a conservative radio station, and thank God
I've known you.
Yeah. Thank God I'm not on that station anymore. But when I was on a conservative station, I would be saying out loud, Trump is going to be in these files. Why? Yeah. Well, because logic tells you this was his best friend for 10 years. They're seen in video. He's at his wedding.
Yep.
Right. Mar-a-Lago. I mean, he's on the flight log 6 times. We learned that in the Maxwell trial. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure out the fact that, Donald Trump probably did some really bad things with Jeffrey Epstein. We already know, as you've said, and you're correct, Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist. It was proven in a courtroom. And yes, do I believe Donald Trump had sex with underage girls? Oh, yeah. By the way, the one thing that Donald Trump said he has in common with his daughter, the first thing that entered his mind was sex. He calls his daughter voluptuous. I would probably date her if she wasn't my daughter. This is the guy who is judging 13 and 14-year-old girls in pageants. Those pageants, some of them had sexual allegations. It's the same guy who went into teenage girls' locker rooms and bragged about it sexually on the Howard Stern show.
Let's be honest, he probably hung out with Jim Jordan at this point,
Yeah, that's right.
No, it really is crazy to see, there's so many dots connected to this guy, and I also want to acknowledge that when Ivanka was asked that question first, she said normal things like golf, real estate, and then they pivot to him and he's like, says what he says. It's just like, dude. And here's my thing. The one that really gets me there really are many things, but the Howard Stern show, when Howard Stern says, can I call her a piece of, and he doesn't, like me, if you say that to me, like you can say that to your friends.
Not to me.
But you're not going to say that to my daughter. No, exactly. You're not going to say that to me.
Because you're a good father, of course.
You know what I'm saying? Like most fathers I know would be like, no, you're not going to say that to me.
Right.
It just is what it is. And it's like, there's a mindset difference there that I think we all just have to acknowledge.
I think you're right. I completely agree with you. Where do you see this thing going? I mean, because I see Trump is going to do everything he can, whether they're talking about Obamagate or what type of sugar is in Coca-Cola. He's going to continue to do everything he can do to try to deflect, but I just don't think it's going to work. The story is not going to go away. And I give credit to the Wall Street Journal, and I can't believe I'm saying this, to Rupert Murdoch. I give him credit. He did not stand down. He continued to. Yeah, I mean, listen, he continued to put out. They probably have more information too. But where do you see this thing going? You think we'll ever see these files? Certainly, we're not going to see it in the next 3.5 years. But I don't know, Ryan. Do you think we'll ever see these files?
You know, I think we'll see a version of them. My question is just always going to come back to: will it be some kind of unredacted version, and can we trust it? You know, and I would probably be saying that even if it was Democrats, because I'm going to be very honest and realistic and say that there's probably some liberals in that list too.
Yeah.
So, you know,
and that's fine. I don't care. Yeah.
If Bill Clinton's in there.
Yep.
I'm not going to speak for you, but hey, go get his ass. I
Absolutely.
don't care.
Ryan, I've said the exact same thing for years. I don't care whether it's a Republican or a Democrat.
No,
expose all of them. I'm with you. That's the difference. The fundamental difference right now between most Democrats and Republicans. Most Democrats are saying if Bill Clinton's in there or any Democrat, have at it. Let them get what they get. But MAGA Republicans, they've been preaching that all of the people that are in those files are Hollywood elitists and liberals. And now all of a sudden it turns out that their orange orangutan happens to be in there, according to the Wall Street Journal, which, by the way, I don't think Rupert Murdoch would just throw this out there and lie, because
not
they would
with the way defamation lawsuits are going around.
Right, exactly. And now all of a sudden they're saying, well, if he's in there, it doesn't mean he's a pedophile. I mean, it's an absolute joke.
You know, to go back to your question, what's going to come of this? The interest where I stand, watching them use Obama now, like 6 months in, to me, that's their nuke. You know what I'm saying? Like that is their end game. That's the last play you've got, dude. Like, to divert attention from anything is to try to pin something on a former president that you know is beloved.
Yep.
And also, it's going to try to somehow negate the reality, which was Russia interfered in the 2016 election, and it wasn't to help Hillary Clinton.
Right.
That's the reality.
Yeah. And we know that Russia meddled in the elections. It was proven in the Mueller report, yet they want to say that Barack Obama committed crimes. Like, it's laughable. It's laughable.
But it shows you how desperate they are. Yeah. So, like, is anything going to come of this? To me, it really keeps coming back to two things. One, midterms. Two, are we going to have anybody in the Senate and the House at this point that is willing to convict if the House does impeach him?
Yeah.
That's really, outside of somehow electing a massive shift in both chambers. Yeah. That's honestly the only option we have. You know, the 25th Amendment, nobody in the Republican Party is going to try to push that. You know, so it's like, that's pretty much our only option. Or, like, let's just be realistic. If they keep masking up, agents and sending them out to pick people up off the streets, this is going to progress past a simple solution.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. If you're just joining us, popular left-wing podcaster Ryan Shedd. We've had some pretty big names on this week, Ryan being one of them. We had Ron Filipowski, who did the show for Midas Touch on Monday. Let's see, who did we have? Destiny, who did the show with us on Tuesday. Yep. We had Parker, who did an hour with us yesterday. And, of course, Ryan, I've been following him on social media for years, and Ryan does a great job. And before we let you go, I want to ask you a few more questions. Then I want to give you the opportunity to talk about your new podcast. I got to bring up Hulk Hogan, and I'm going to tell you something, Ryan. I grew up 7, 8, 9 years old. I was a big back then it was the WWF, the Macho Man Randy Savage and the Honky Tonk Man and the Bushwhackers.
Ultimate Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior, Tito Santana. So I would go with my dad to the Hartford Civic Center, and I remember it, and I saw Andre the Giant fight Hulk Hogan, and I was a big Hulk Hogan fan. Then when I realized that, wrestling was somewhat fake, I kind of grew out of that when I was 11 or 12, but that's beside the point. When I heard the audio of Hulk Hogan openly using the N-word, openly admitting that he was a racist, and calling his daughter's boyfriend the N-word, I said to myself, this man is a piece of human scum. Anybody who is white that talks like that about somebody because of the color of their skin is a human piece of garbage. I've always felt that way about Hulk Hogan since. And I'm not surprised that the Republican National Convention decided to have this guy who was openly admitted a racist, who, by the way, was banned from being in the Wrestling Hall of Fame and was suspended because of those statements, to speak at the convention. I don't shed one tear for Hulk Hogan any more than I shed any tears when Rush Limbaugh passed away of cancer. Now, I said it then and I'll say it now. Rush Limbaugh might have died of cancer, but he was a cancer to the society. Yeah. I believe Hulk Hogan was a really bad guy. I understand he entertained a lot of people in his life. He was not a good person, and he was never a good role model. My thoughts to his family, but I believe there's a place in hell for somebody like Hulk Hogan, the same I feel about Rush Limbaugh. That's just my personal opinion, Ryan. I don't know how you feel.
I definitely don't want to come out here and like celebrate the dude's death.
I'm not doing that either. I just want to be clear on that.
No, I know you're not. Yep. I just want to make clear I'm not. And that being said, it's one of those things of don't meet your heroes. The people you grew up watching. Sometimes they really disappoint you. And it's not just for me. It wasn't even just that recording, because I'm going to tell you something, man. Everybody, I think, just like I just talked about transgender and me growing over the years and becoming a better ally and person when it relates to that issue, everybody should be afforded the opportunity to grow. But when he stood on that stage last year, ripped his thing off and had that Trump shirt on, first thing I thought was, this dude didn't learn his lesson. Mm-hmm. That was my first thought. And, again, in the wrestling world, he'll probably, he changed the business, so you can't take that away from him. But the one thing that my dad taught me growing up was he had 30 guys that worked, he said, with him, but, that he was their boss. And he said he always treated them like family. His job was to take all the crap and let them do their jobs. And when you hear other wrestlers talk about Hulk Hogan and how he was behind the closed doors and how many people he stabbed in the back and screwed over and all these things, and you find out the kind of dude he really was, and it's like, yeah, this doesn't really surprise me.
Yeah.
So again, I feel for his daughter, son, those that loved him, but yeah, I'm not going to be over here celebrating him like we're celebrating Ozzy Osbourne and Malcolm Jamal Warner. And,
right.
The last video Malcolm Jamal Warner had was so positive, and he was just sending out this good energy. And it's like, those are the people I'm going to miss, because they were putting out that good energy that we really need right now, into the world. They were
and Ozzy Osbourne had his issues with drugs and alcohol, but
very open with it.
He was open with it.
Help people with this story.
That's what I was just going to say. He loved his wife very much. He seemed like he was a really good father and husband and a loving man, and he was a great entertainer. And that's why I said that the other day. I said the first concert I ever went to, was an Ozzy Osbourne concert, and he should be remembered as a rock superstar, but even more importantly, a good husband and a good father. And you can't say the same thing about Hulk Hogan. I mean, openly using the N-word in front of your family. And you mentioned it too, all the people he backstabbed behind the scenes. You're right. Ryan, before I let you go, I know you got a new podcast that's starting up around the corner, and I love what you do on social media. So tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks for letting me plug it. So as you guys know, I have Hold the Mic. I've plugged that a few times on the show. That's not going anywhere. We're just on a little summer break. Ian, my business partner, he's actually moving his family to Hawaii for a great a day job opportunity that he's going to take for a while as we spin things up. So really happy for him. And it just so happened that Marcus Flowers reached out to me. And if you know how Marcus Flowers talks, he has kind of a, more monotone Ferris Bueller, kind of speech, but he knows what he's talking about. And so when he called me, I thought as he led into the conversation that it was going to be more of a mentor telling me to kind of, maybe turn it down to like 8, you know what I mean? And it wasn't that at all. He went into pitching me a show for him and I to co-host. So he didn't have to sell me for very long. The part that sold me, honestly, was he wants to bring on candidates and have really good conversations with them, but not at the congressional level, Senate level. We want to focus on city councils, board of supervisors. We're more focusing on getting the pipeline of the next generation of liberals and Democrats into the political system, because if we really want to focus down the road 10, 15 years, that's what we need to be doing right now, is picking out our politicians that we want to back, that we want to mentor, and get them in the pipeline. So that's what we're going to be doing. And it's going to be called With All Due Respect. and we're going to be starting next Wednesday. So you should be able to find us on all my channels and also all of Marcus's stuff. Go to his Substack. Make sure you subscribe to Marcus's Substack, Marcus Flowers. And yeah, come check us out. It's going to be good cop, bad cop. If you know me, I'm going to be the crazy one. Marcus is going to be the good cop. So it's going to be good. Check it out.
When I hear with all due respect, the first thing I think about is The Sopranos, one of my favorite shows of all time. That's a cool name. I like that.
So you already know where we're going.
Yes, I love it. And you and Marcus are welcome to come on at the same time. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I know you guys are going to do a great job, and I can't wait for the podcast. Ryan, you're a great friend, and you're great at what you do, my friend. I appreciate you coming on as always, and we will catch up with you soon. Good to see you, Ryan. Thank you.
See you guys later.
All right, there you go. Ryan Shedd, everybody. Another one of the higher profile left-leaning podcasters, and I've been watching him on social media for a really long time. Ryan's a great guy. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a quick break, but here's what we're going to do. When we come back, Leonard Cardinale is going to be joining us in studio. I know Leonard's got a lot to say about these Epstein files. We have some unbelievable audio to play for you from Tim Burchett. What are they saying, and how are they covering this Epstein story on Newsmax? Republicans all over the country that are curling themselves into a pretzel, trying to defend the fact that they might be supporting a pedophile in the Epstein files. Unbelievable audio to play for you and how they're deflecting from this. Leonard will be joining us next in studio. We'll take a quick break. In 90 seconds, we'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Programming note for you. A couple very interesting guests that we are going to be having on the program tomorrow. A guy by the name of Shabazz Kenstenbaum. He makes a lot of appearances on national networks and Piers Morgan show. Extremely pro-Israel, pro-Benjamin Netanyahu. We might get into it a little bit, not because I'm not pro-Israel. I don't like the way Benjamin Netanyahu is handling this war. So he's going to be joining us tomorrow. And then there's a guy who was part of the Mehdi Hasan Jubilee debate. He lives here in Las Vegas. He's going to be joining us in studio tomorrow, along with Nicole Mitchell. So it's going to be a fun show tomorrow. But the guy, the handsome, good-looking man wearing the black shirt that you see over there, that is Leonard Cardinale, decades-long lieutenant and North Las Vegas police officer. We didn't have him in yesterday. We wanted to give him some more time today. Leonard, it's good to see you. How are you?
How you doing, Brian? A lot going on.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, there's a lot going on. What went through your mind, by the way, when the Wall Street Journal story came out yesterday that Trump's in the Epstein files?
we've all known it, and they've been trying to say, well, in May, it came out in the Wall Street Journal and other news that Trump was told in May that he was all over the Epstein files. And in March, they, as people know, they pulled 1,000 FBI agents from the field and other duties to go over 100,000 pages of the Epstein files. They were working in 24-hour shifts, and they were told to flag and to scrub, according to news reports, anything about Donald Trump. And why did they do that?
I think we know the answer to that. Yeah. And as we're speaking right now, Leonard, you have Donald Trump's DOJ that is trying to strike some sort of deal with Maxwell. We know what that's all about. Anybody with a brain understands it, ladies and gentlemen. For my special MAGA friends that are listening right now, let me try to just lay it out for you. What they're doing is they want to get Maxwell to exonerate Donald Trump. They want to get Maxwell on the record saying that Trump never did any wrongdoing. He's not in the files.
They were friends,
right,
but all that illegal stuff never happened.
Because Maxwell is in the situation where if she actually tells the truth, she's going to spend the rest of her life in jail. But if she exonerates Donald Trump, I guarantee you this is going to happen. Either her sentence will be lessened, or Donald Trump will pardon her as he leaves office because he won't care. That's exactly what's going on here.
Why would the Department of Justice send the assistant AG to go talk to someone who's imprisoned? Todd Blanche is down there interviewing her as we speak, and if that doesn't, it's not even a conspiracy, because they say, I used to say a conspiracy is only a conspiracy until it happens, and it's happening.
By the way, our friend Paul Lance, who you hosted the show with here when I was on vacation, said, Brian, where's this handsome guy you're talking about? I only see Leonard. Thank you, Paul. That's very funny. We'll get to more of the YouTube Super Chats here in a moment, but I do want to get to the audio. And before I do that, I want to read something that Ron Filipkowski, our friend of the show from Midas Touch, said. He said, does Maxwell get a deal from the DOJ if she implicates Trump? Not a chance in hell. Does Maxwell get a deal from the DOJ if she exonerates Trump? Probably. She knows both things very well. She's a criminal and a liar, given incentive by the DOJ to lie to benefit herself. Release the files.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you think J.D. Vance's trip in June up to see Rupert Murdoch, do you think the going to speak to Ghislaine Maxwell is kind of getting ahead of the train? Because if J.D. made a deal and there were Fox News hosts there and Murdoch's wife was there and they had this unscheduled conversation, so do you think there's a possibility that they're trying to get rid of Trump?
I don't know. Could I think that might be a possibility and that J.D. Vance wants to take? I don't know. Here's what we do know. Kash Patel knows that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Dan Bongino knows. Pam Bondi knows.
He pushed it. She pushed it.
Everybody in the Trump administration, yes, they all know the truth that they have been supporting a pedophile. I don't know how they wake up in the morning and look in the mirror, because these are the same people who have been talking about the Epstein files for years. They have zero credibility. They are absolute hypocrites and liars. And as Shelley just said in the YouTube Super Chat, Maxwell has a ton of leverage over Trump. He's shaking in his shoes. Yes, I agree.
She's looking at 20 years.
Yeah.
And what would people do to get out of a 20-year sentence?
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think they would say, whatever you want me to say, I'll say.
But, Leonard, how are far-right MAGA Republicans handling all of this information? It's been a rough 24 hours for them. They want to talk about Obamagate.
The ones that I've spoken to, they do a subject change. They do the whataboutism.
Yep.
They try to talk about Joe Biden. And they
sniffing hair, yeah. But, if you're in the Epstein files, that doesn't mean you're a predator. Well, let's start with Representative Tim Burchett. I like to call him Forrest Gump, although all due respect to that movie, I think Forrest is much more intelligent than Tim Burchett. He's openly admitting on national television that they may agree to give the DOJ to reduce the sentence of sex trafficker Maxwell. Have a listen to this. So we're having issues with the audio. We'll try to get that audio for you as soon as possible, but I wanted to play you some audio of Tim Burchett, because what he is basically doing is he is basically saying it's okay for sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell to get a lesser sentence for her testimony. As we put Leonard's microphone back on. Yeah, go ahead. Leonard. Hold on, I hear some audio in the background here, so let's maybe let's try to start that one up again. I don't know if that was the audio. All right, so let's reset the scene here. Let's start this all over again. This is Tim Burchett admitting that House Republicans may agree to ask the DOJ to reduce the sentence of the sex trafficker herself, Maxwell. Have a listen to this.
The government has said in its filings that they don't trust her because she's a liar.
No, she is a liar, and she's a dirtbag. And,
so then why subpoena her if you can't trust her?
Well, because the one thing we got holding over her head is if we find out she lies, she goes back to her original sentence, and that's looking at lifetime. And if she's looking at maybe parlaying this into reducing her sentence, then we could have some leverage there.
All right, so there you go. And we're sorry for some of the technical difficulties. Some people on YouTube are saying they can't hear the audio clip, so we apologize for that. Amir on the YouTube Super Chat says, MAGA imminently will go through a regret phase where they will try to downplay their support and act like they just wanted cheaper groceries and all the BS. Here's your reminder to never to forgive, never to forget. Amir, I couldn't have said it any better than that, my friend, and I completely 100% agree with you. So how's Newsmax covering this story? Well, they're asking Representative Zink, what do you make of this report? And I want you to listen to the response of this MAGA moron Republican on Newsmax. It's unbelievable. Have a listen to this.
To the Epstein files, of course. That's also what everyone's talking about. A new report suggesting that Attorney General Pam Bondi told President Trump last spring that his name does appear in some of the files. But at first, the White House said they assumed it did because the two people knew each other. They knew each other in the 90s, the early 2000s, and prior to Epstein's legal problems. It's widely known, Congressman, that the president kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago back in 2004. So, yes, he would be mentioned in a file because, yes, they were in the same room together. What do you make of this new report and what we've been seeing?
You know, it reminds me actually of the Russian collusion. Look, I've talked to Pam Bondi. The list, as I understand it, is a victim list. Remember, you have horrendous crimes with children. And Chief Justice Roberts is mentioned, I understand, because he took a flight that Epstein owned. So just necessarily knowing someone is not criminal, but you also have to protect the innocent. So I understand that Trump, the Trump administration asked the judge to intervene, take a look at what should be sealed, what is not sealed. But I just don't think everyone's looking for this golden nugget. And it just reminds me of the Russian collusion. There's nothing there, I can assure you, with the President of the United States that would lead to any other conclusion that he knew him. That's it.
Yeah. Wow. Welcome to Newsmax. So first of all, Leonard, there was Russian collusion. There was at least Russian meddling that was proven in the Mueller report, and Marco Rubio even agreed with that. So I don't know what this idiot is trying to say when it comes to the Russian collusion thing. That's number one. That's deflection. Number two, how can you compare that to Donald Trump being in the Epstein files? This wasn't just him knowing Jeffrey Epstein. He was on the flight log. He was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend. And he's downplaying it like this is just fake news, Russian collusion. How do these people look at themselves in the mirror?
Can I frame it a little bit? So in 2002, Trump said openly he had been friends with Epstein for 15 years. Everyone knows that. That's put it back to the 80s. So what happened in 2004, what they're talking about is that Trump and some other people started to get wind of the FBI investigation that came in July of 2006. That's when they started the open investigation against Epstein. But and so he wanted to distance himself at that point because we all knew it was coming. And when it came, they even made a deal. So Epstein made a deal to admit to prostitution on state charges to avoid a federal investigation. And he did very little time.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So what they're talking about when he distanced himself is they saw the train coming down the tracks. That's why they distanced themselves.
Right. I agree with you completely. And then the argument you hear from idiots, and we're going to play you one of them. His name is Representative Carlos Jimenez, who also went on one of these right-wing networks. And, Jimenez is trying to make the case that Donald Trump can't be in the Epstein files because Joe Biden would have released it. First of all,
That makes no sense.
First of all, idiocy. There's probably people on the left. I could almost assure you there's people, prominent people on the right and the left that are in these files. That's number one. And number two, what you just said doesn't make any sense at all. But listen to what this moron, of course he's a Republican, so many of them are, Carlos Jimenez, and the excuses he's trying to make for why Trump can't be in the Epstein files. It's insane.
James Comer says an overwhelming majority of Republicans like you in Congress support their release and that many lawmakers are hearing the same from their constituents. Is that what you're hearing from your constituents in Florida, and do you support this entire effort?
No, I haven't heard from my constituents. Again, this is much more important to a few people than it is to the vast majority of Americans. Americans are I think, are over the Epstein case. They have been over it for a long time. It keeps being brought up, and that's why I think this, hey man, just release the things and this thing will go away, and put it in our rearview mirror. We got a lot more important things to do for the American people than what happened, 8, 10, 20 years ago. It's already been resolved in court. The man was found guilty. He did some heinous things. And to young girls, and he paid the ultimate price, I guess, with his own suicide. But we need to move on. And again, the American people are more worried about tabletop issues, kitchen table issues, their economy, how much they're paying for gas, how much money can they keep in their pockets once the effects of the big beautiful bill take effect, with no tax on tips and overtime, Social Security, lowering gas prices through energy dominance. I think the American people are a lot more interested in that than in the Epstein files.
Really? Well, all the idiots on the right have been talking about the Epstein files, including all the far-right propagandists and some of the biggest people in right-wing media have been constantly talking about the Epstein files for years. And now, all of a sudden, Jimenez, you clown, you're saying, oh, let's talk about real kitchen table issues. You want to talk about kitchen table issues? You want to talk about that? Sure, let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that, you buffoon. Let's talk about the fact that you idiots like you voted for a bill that'll take 15 million people off of Medicaid, or that billions and billions and billions of dollars taken away from people who can't put food on the table. They're called food stamps. Or let's talk about these tariffs and how the American consumers are paying for it, or how your idiot orange orangutan got us into another ill-advised war, or how the war in Ukraine that he said he would end in 24 hours is worse off now than it was on day one. I'm happy to talk about kitchen table issues with you, you sick buffoon. But the fact that you're going to support a pedophile and an adjudicated rapist, and you say only a few people in this country care about that? How do these idiots get elected into office?
You said many times yesterday on the show that if the Republicans continue to support Trump, then they're supporting pedophilia.
Exactly.
You said it, and what they're proposing makes no sense. They're saying Comey and President Biden and President Obama put together this package of Epstein files, and then they didn't use it. So how does that make sense? If you're putting together this false narrative, this false package, and 12 years goes by and you don't use it, if you go to a logical conclusion, it doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Why would they do that? Because they knew at some point that the Republican MAGA base would get wound up about the conspiracy, and they foresaw in the future that it might be relevant, but didn't use it at the time. That makes no sense.
Listen, I think one day we're going to see these files, and then when the files are out there and Donald Trump's name is in there, he'll continue with the narrative that Barack Obama and Joe Biden created these files. I mean, really, Maxwell is going to try to do whatever she can do and say and lie to exonerate Donald Trump so that she could get a commuted sentence and get a pardon. So I don't care what Maxwell has to say.
Well, Steve Bannon said that they're losing part of their base, right? And everybody's like, well.
By the way, Elon Musk said Steve Bannon's in the Epstein files too. Just for the record.
Wow.
Elon's been right on this so far. I got to give him credit on this. So.
Yeah, and so Steve Bannon said that everybody thinks they're losing the entire base. That's not accurate. What Steve Bannon said was we're probably going to lose about 10 to 15% of our base if Donald Trump keeps going down this road of secrecy and hiding it. But he also said that might be enough to lose the midterms. And if they lose the midterms, there might be an impeachment possibly criminal trial coming.
So we've been hearing some rumors about this Donald Trump birthday letter that he sent to Jeffrey Epstein, and now we're learning where it most likely is and the fact that it might be turned over to authorities. So I want you to listen to a guy by the name of Bradley Edwards. He is the attorney for Epstein survivors, and by the way, we're trying to get him on the show. And he said on MSNBC where this letter is and how it might be turned over to the authorities. Have a listen to this.
I want to go to that book because with your familiarity with evidence against Jeffrey Epstein, which you've collected a lot of through the discovery process, what do you know specifically about that book? Do you know that the estate, the relatives of Jeffrey Epstein, in effect through their lawyers, are in possession of that birthday book?
Yes, I know that the executors of the estate are in possession of that book. And I think that after they turn it over, it should probably be set in the Smithsonian as an artifact at this point in time. It's going to go down in history so that the world can see this book, and they'll know who were Jeffrey Epstein's best friends at the time, what letters did his family write to him, what other pictures are in there, things of that nature. Redact victim names, release the book, and move on. So that's it. Yes, the executors have it.
So you've just identified, not just for the news media, but obviously for House of Representatives who are now in a mood to subpoena, and also Todd Blanche and the Trump Justice Department, who suddenly are getting curious about investigating this. You've now told them exactly, according to your knowledge, where the birthday book is, who is in possession of that book. And all the House of Representatives would have to do tomorrow is write up a subpoena for that book, and you believe that it would be the lawyers involved would comply with that subpoena?
I know the executors' lawyers. I've worked with them for years. They're good people. They're good lawyers. They would comply with the subpoena immediately. It's something that we could solve this problem so quickly if people actually want to solve problems.
Yeah, but they don't. Republicans don't. They don't want to release the Epstein files. They don't want to see this birthday card. They don't want to see footage of Donald Trump hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein. New footage just came out of Jeffrey Epstein at Donald Trump's wedding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, can you imagine if Joe
Sitting
Biden
at a fashion show together?
Yeah. They've been all over the place together for years. They were best friends for over 10 years. And Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, did this show way before he started doing Chris Cuomo and CNN. He was on this show first, and he confirmed all that stuff. I want you guys to remember this audio clip because this was just last week. And keep in mind, we've just learned from the Wall Street Journal yesterday when Parker was on the show, the news broke. And me and Parker were kind of joking about that this morning, about this huge story that broke when he was on, that the Wall Street Journal has information that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files multiple times, and that Donald Trump was told about this way back in May. Donald Trump last week was asked the point-blank question by a reporter, did Pam Bondi tell you that your name appeared in the Epstein files? I want you guys to listen to this audio because it's going to go back in time as another one of Donald Trump's big lies. Have a listen to this.
On Epstein, the Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
what? On the
DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein.
Okay.
On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you? What did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No. She's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well. And it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
On Texas, how many more seats do you want the Republicans to?
Yeah. So I'm laughing at this because it's so ridiculous. So in that, the one thing he said in that statement that probably is accurate, according to him, is that she's doing a good job because she's doing everything he tells her to do.
Yeah,
which
but
is don't release
he said
the
his
files.
brief. Like if I said, Brian, hey, Did someone tell you you're on the list? Well, it was brief. You know,
Yeah.
How long does it take to say, yeah, I was on
And
there
yes,
many times.
James Comey, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden are the ones that created the Epstein
But they
files.
never used it
How
when he was
convenient.
running for president.
How
When they
convenient.
could have used it against him, they didn't, even though they were sitting on it. That makes no sense.
Be honest, Leonard. Like, we know a lot of Donald Trump's base are very stupid people. Okay, they're mainly,
Well, he called them
trash.
stupid
Okay?
and weaklings.
Right, but what percentage of his base do you think actually believe now that James Comey, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden created the Epstein files?
I think I think that a lot of the MAGA base, I have friends who are MAGAs that I talk to, and I think their ego's involved at this point. I think they know they're wrong. I think they know they're supporting a pedophile, but their ego won't allow them to say, you know what, you guys are right.
So they
the
won't
whole
admit
time.
it, but
this guy's a turd.
But most of the supporters that voted for him, they understand they
There's
voted for a pedophile, right?
Steve Bannon, he's an expert, and he said maybe 10 to 15%, and that's only if he continues down this road. And then Maxwell, obviously, by the way, Maxwell was charged by the DOJ for perjuring herself during the deposition.
Yeah,
so
and
she's a confirmed liar.
And people are asking, how did Elon Musk know about this? Well, I think it's pretty simple. I mean, he could have spoken to anybody.
He had access to everything.
He had access to meetings. He had access to
everything.
Conversations with Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. They all know. All he had to do was be in one room.
They went right in. They let him go in everything, in the FBI, in the Department of Justice, Social Security, Department of Education. They gave him access to everything.
The moment for me that I knew 100% that Trump was in the Epstein files was not the Wall Street Journal article yesterday, actually. It was when Donald Trump was asked in the White House about the Epstein files last week. And you remember when he called his supporters stupid? And he said, why are you guys still talking about this? I said, oh, my God. He actually 100. I thought he was in the files anyway, but seeing his behavior over the last few weeks re-emphasized what I already knew. He's 100% in the files.
It's his people that want. His people were saying that it was part of a cabal, that it was international, that ambassadors were involved and other presidents and people in the Middle East. They said that all these people were going to be held accountable and go to jail. But what they forgot was that their boss, their king, or whatever their messiah, whatever they call him, was the number one suspect.
So Leonard, we've learned that MAGA in the MAGA world and politicians and those in the Trump administration are doing everything they can to deflect. They're talking about what type of sugar is
They just want it to go away.
Yeah, they're talking about what type of sugars in Coca-Cola. They're talking about Obamagate, which doesn't exist. They want to talk about anything and everything to deflect, but it gets worse. Because I want to play you a clip from a MAGA moron senator by the name of Roger Marshall. Now, if you don't know who Roger Marshall is, he wears the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7. He took it even to another level, maybe even worse than Obamagate, if that's not bad. He's now claiming that Hillary Clinton at one point was on tranquilizers. I'm not making this up. Listen to this.
Minimal impact on the election, and Barack says, oh no, let's change that narrative. Let's go out there and delegitimize the election and tell the American people that Russia interfered with the election. Otherwise, how in the world could Hillary Clinton be beaten? Never mind that she was on tranquilizers at the time and to her wits' end and was craving for all the power she can get. Look, again, this is the threat to democracy. This is the true threat to democracy when the President of the United States weaponizes the entire intelligence agency and the legacy media against the future president of the United States, the duly elected future president of the United States.
Yeah, that's an elected Republican senator who just said that Hillary Clinton was on tranquilizers.
You mean like a dart, like they shoot like horses with, or dogs? Like somebody was going, and shooting her.
Is he talking like Joe Rogan? I don't know. What is he talking about? I don't know.
Tranquilizers.
That's what he just said, and he said
he
said it with a serious look on his face.
That was a serious alt-right word salad sandwich, in my opinion. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable to me.
Like, you're trying to track what they're saying, and you're like, that they're scrambling. I think they know they're in trouble. This could be something that seriously hurts the Donald Trump presidency and sticks.
Well,
right now it's sticking.
I mean, obviously we know why Tulsi Gabbard is doing what she's doing. I can't wait, by the way, till the next press conference when Caroline Levett's going to try to weasel and lie her way out of this one. Republicans on the House, in Washington, D.C., this is what you got. You knew who you were voting for, and now you're going to have to answer to the media and make excuses and claim that the Wall Street Journal. Let me be very clear on this, okay? The Wall Street Journal is 100% telling the truth. Why do I say that? First of all, they're not a liberal publication. Rupert Murdoch runs the publication, number one. Number two, Donald Trump has already threatened a lawsuit. He knew this was going to come. He's trying to do and say whatever he can. This would be the end of the Wall Street Journal if this was a false story.
They would have never stepped out over the cliff on that. Never.
And I believe that Rupert Murdoch had this in the bag all along.
For a while.
And he's putting, because that's what, I mean, say what you want about him, but he's not stupid. You put out, this is what they do in the news business to sell. Little after little after little. You don't want to put out everything at once. They knew they were going to release this, so they didn't care that Donald Trump was threatening to sue them. Donald Trump did not know that the Wall Street Journal had this information.
Can I ask you something about the lawsuit?
Yeah.
So he sues the Wall Street Journal, Trump does, for $10 billion, right? So now you have to have discovery, which means interrogatories and depositions, and Donald Trump has to testify because he's the plaintiff, right, on defamation. So let me ask you something. When he gets a subpoena, Trump gets a subpoena and says, you have to come in and we have to record your statement on this. And he says, no, I'm not answering a subpoena. You know what happens in the real world? The case is dismissed.
Right.
So he either is going to have to give the evidence and the testimony, or they're going to dismiss the case.
And let me be very clear.
So it's a nothing bar.
I agree. And let me be very clear. The MAGA narrative has turned from, if you're in the Epstein files, you deserve to get the electric chair. And now the MAGA narrative has turned to, if you're in the Epstein files, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a pedophile.
We want to know so we can make up our mind.
So here's what I want to do. I want to open up the phone lines. I know there's a lot of people out there that probably want to chime in on this.
Oh, the chat's going crazy.
The YouTube's going wild here. And I want to hear from all of you. So here is what we are going to do. We are going to open up the phone lines at 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283.
Keep calling because it looks like they're all lit up right now. So
well, here's the question that I'm asking them. You know, there's a lot to ask, Leonard. But what type of deal, if any, do you think the Trump DOJ will sign with Maxwell? Do you believe that she will exonerate Trump, and in return, when Trump leaves office, he will pardon her? By the way, it doesn't matter what Maxwell says. We still have the Epstein files. They haven't been released, but that doesn't change what's in the Epstein files. So it doesn't matter what.
It'll probably be a commuted sentence, some kind of time served, something like that.
Yeah. And I guess my next question to the callers is, after the news broke out yesterday, and we were live on the air yesterday when the Wall Street Journal put out this information, were any of you surprised at all? And for any of you MAGA buffoons out there that want to still try to defend your pedophile, adjudicated rapist leader, I'd love to hear from you as well. Curl yourself into a pretzel and try to defend it. So let's see here. Who are we going? 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. And again, that number is 702-221-SAVE, but I can't save you MAGAs. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I can't save all of you. All right. We are going to go straight to the phone calls now. And we are going to start off with line one. Why don't we start off with line one? We are going to Peter. Peter is on line one. Hey, Peter. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. Hey, Leonard.
Hi there.
Real quick. I don't usually do this. Now that I see it's gaining traction, Brian, you have another caller named Brian. He's been picking up on this. I want to say I take credit for starting the Leonard for Governor take tour.
Were you the first one?
I was sending a super chat every time you were on for about 10 shows in a row until I think last week I wasn't able to. And I see some fellow callers continuing that. So Leonard for Governor.
You know what? I have an issue, though. One of my issues is that I say it like it is. So politics is going to be rough for me. I'm just telling you ahead of time.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, Peter. Thank you so much. And no, I appreciate you calling in, Peter. Thank you very much for calling in. We'll move. Yeah, I appreciate that. We'll go to the next caller. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to line two now. Let's go to Courtney. Courtney is next up on PTL. Hey, Courtney, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? Good to talk to you again. I tell you, I have been close to tears over this now, though, because it's just getting for the victims, because this is just ridiculous. It is so clear that Trump is guilty of pedophilia at this point. I mean, and you even had, I don't know if you saw earlier where they released on Midas Touch, they had the deposition where Jeffrey Epstein pled the fifth when he was asked whether he was ever at a party with Trump and underage girls. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then this whole going in to meet with Maxwell, I was spending the whole day yesterday calling the Congress people. Her testimony is now useless.
It is.
To have allowed them to go in there and make deals with her at this point, we don't even need her to testify.
Can you imagine? Can you think about this, Courtney? All the MAGA Republicans out there that were calling Joe Biden a pedophile, sniffing hair, where did they all go now? Now all of a sudden, if Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, it doesn't mean he's a pedophile.
Now it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay because they can't prove it. But they have. And by the way, Maxwell has perjured herself and been charged with perjury. So I don't really see where she has any credibility. But they just want something to hold on to say, look, we've talked to Maxwell, and she says that never happened. And that's what I believe. I believe they're going to try to mitigate the charges by saying the person herself who was there said that never happened. Yeah. But if you listen to Virginia Giuffre's testimony, who's now dead, she died in April from quote unquote suicide. I mean, it's terrible to listen to. It's heartbreaking to listen
interesting,
to what they did to these young girls.
It's interesting. Some of these people are losing their lives, including prosecutors and people.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
In 2019.
Yeah, but they want to talk about Pizzagate.
Who was president in 2019?
Yeah. Courtney.
And Trump has even said that he even threatened her at one point where he was talking about what happened to her boyfriend and that, it may have been murder and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, she has zero credibility.
Listen, I'll be very clear on this one. And by the way, thank you for the call, Courtney. I appreciate you.
Courtney.
Thank you for the phone call. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Line 3, I believe we have Brent. Brent on line 3. Hi, Brent. What's going on?
Oh, what's up, Brian? It's Brett. I'm just dumbfounded. What is the MAGA world like? How are they even justifying going to see Maxwell? What are they saying? What is the point of the conversation?
I'm going to tell you exactly I'm going to tell you exactly what they're saying behind closed doors because we will never get a recorded conversation. Miss Maxwell, if you ever want to see the light of day again, if you want the possibility of a pardon, you need to exonerate Donald Trump. We need a written statement from you or a verbal statement from you signed.
Yeah, that I understand, Brian. But what are they telling the public? Like
they're telling the public.
They're not hiding anything. They sent Todd Blanche down there, Deputy AG. To go talk
we just
to
want
her.
the truth. We just want the truth
she's
out
looking,
there.
Remember, she was booked in 2022. She's looking at 20 years. So that's 2042. She's done about 3 years.
Well,
so I'm thinking
say whatever she needs to say
that's what I believe.
It's not only that these MAGA morons have voted for and support a pedophile and an adjudicated rapist, but they are also going to have to live with the fact they voted for a guy who wants one of the biggest named sex traffickers to get a commuted sentence. That's exactly what's going to happen here.
Can I ask, Brent, you a question?
Yeah.
What do you think of the fact that the Trump administration hates LGBTQ? They hate people that use pronouns. They hate DEI hires and the like. And they talk about adults putting on shows for children, but at the same time, the perversion that is alleged on the other side is 10,000 times worse. So what do you think of that kind of hypocrisy?
I think that they will bow to whatever it is that they need to do or say that's going to make them the most money and keep them in power. I don't think that they have any morals, any scruples, any...
That's the truth.
I just can't imagine. Listen, I wanted to bring this up. The last caller alluded to the video that's going around of a past deposition from Epstein, and have you guys seen that yet?
Yes, we have.
Yeah, well, I mean, wouldn't the answer if you were asked in a deposition if you were hanging out with underage girls in a private setting like that, wouldn't the answer?
Well, they didn't even ask
no?
about a private setting. They're just saying, did you and Donald Trump, you were friends? Did you ever hang out when there were underage girls? And he says, I plead the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and the 14th.
Notice how he wouldn't answer that question.
Wouldn't an innocent man just be say no.
Donald Trump said it himself that if you plead the fifth, you're probably guilty. The first question Epstein answered when he was asked, did you guys hang out in social settings? Were you guys good friends? Immediately he says yes. And then the next question, did you and Donald Trump ever hang out with underage girls? I plead the fifth on that one. I can't answer that one. Yeah,
he
very telling.
But there's pictures everywhere of them hanging out with underage girls. There's
Thanks for the call, my friend. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you. 702-221-7283, the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. I believe on line 4 we have Mark. Mark is calling on line 4. Hello, Mark.
Hey, hello, Brian. Len, it's always a pleasure to hear from you.
Thank you, Mark. What's on your mind?
Brian, by the way, great show yesterday with Park.
It was a good
really terrific show.
Thank you.
Let's understand that Rupert Murdoch owns a rag trash newspaper called the New York Post. It's almost on the level of the National Enquirer. However, his other publication, the Wall Street Journal, is a true newspaper that doesn't BS. It's fact-based. And for them to come out and state that Trump is on that Epstein list, they would open themselves up to a huge lawsuit, and their followers would start looking down on the newspaper if it wasn't true. So once the Wall Street Journal stated that he's on the list, you know 100% that Rupert Murdoch has that list.
I understand what you're saying. Just to be clear, though, they didn't necessarily. Now, I believe he's probably on a list, but they didn't necessarily say that. But they did say
the limit every weekday.
I don't know where that came from, but anyway, maybe that was the deep state. But they did say that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Now, take that for what you were.
And they brought out the birthday card. That's what really started the controversy.
Right.
They gave the exact text verbiage that's in, and they were talking about secrets and being powerful, and they were talking about terrible things, and then it was signed, supposedly, allegedly, by Donald Trump's signature in the South region of the female.
By the way, guys, my point was that the Wall Street Journal would have never said
it's a credible
anything
newspaper.
about Trump, about Trump being in files or whatever without him really being in it.
I think we all agree.
Well, I think we all agree that
he would never put his paper on the line like that.
Thank you for the call, Mark. I appreciate you. All right, line 1, let's go to Lauren. By the way, the number to call 702-221-7283 if you want to be a part of the conversation. Lauren is next up on PTL. Hello, Lauren.
Hi there. Just wanted to say I enjoy your shows.
Thank you.
I think you're doing the people's work.
Thank you.
A couple callers ago, there was a question about members of the LGBTQ community, and I am a member of that community. I honestly don't think that any of these Republicans have any modicum of some moral compass whatsoever. They don't care. They don't care about anything. It's power, it's money, it's who they can oppress just to take a step up. I don't know how they sleep at night.
Lauren, how does it make you feel, the hypocrisy of them looking down their noses at people in your community and saying that there's something wrong with it and being judgmental, but at the same time, in my opinion, what they're doing to children on tape in front of other people, and it's probably going to be a provable fact. How does that hypocrisy hit you? I mean, is it just a lack of understanding on their part, or is it just, like you said, are they soulless?
Soulless, it makes me want to scream because it's so blatant and it's so obvious to me and like-minded individuals. I just really don't get it. I think it just goes back to President Johnson all those years ago when he said you can make the lowliest man hate someone else, and I'm sure you're familiar with that quote.
Yeah.
That's just what it always brings back to mind.
To me, this is
to give their.
To me, though, my friend, this is the big fundamental difference. I mean, there's a lot of big differences between Democrats and Republicans in 2025, but I think one big fundamental difference right now is that, correct me if I'm wrong, but most Democrats that are politicians right now, they're pretty much all saying, I don't care whether Bill Clinton's in there or not. I don't care whether there's a D or an R next to their name. Release the files. I haven't heard one Democrat lately, at least, say, no, we shouldn't release the files. It doesn't matter who's in them. We want to expose all of them.
Did Tom Tillis say that, though?
Well, I know that.
Something to that effect?
I know that most Democrats are release the files. When it comes to anybody who's a loyalist Trump supporter, some of them are saying release the files. But the ones that are defending Trump are voting against bills to release the files. They are. I want you guys to think about this for a second. This is just in layman's terms. I'm just going to let you know. They would rather defend a known adjudicated rapist and most likely a pedophile. They would rather defend him than defend victims and children who were molested. These is the same party that talks about sex trafficking, the same party who talk. By the way, I'm on their side. It's horrible. I want those people held to account. But everything they have talked about, everything when it comes to child sex trafficking and protecting children is nullified because they are protecting the abuser himself, Donald Trump.
While they're looking down on people in your community just for choosing to have a lifestyle in the manner they choose to have a lifestyle. You're not hurting anybody. All you're doing, why are they even in your business in the LGBTQ community?
Trying to exist. Well, I think it goes to this a common theme because they don't care about us. The two parties are not the same. Democrats will hold people accountable. Nobody's perfect. That's a given. The parties are not the same. The Republicans, just the common theme, no matter what it is, predators, anything like that, the poor, the hungry, they don't care. They have their own agenda.
But they say they're Christians.
Self-serving. Right, which is that's just speaking to their base. It's something to hide behind. It's just something to hide behind. You can't take any of them seriously. It's just that same core theme, and I don't know what it's going to take to get. I know that there are a lot of MAGA base who are truly they listen to one news source. They're struggling. They want a better life for themselves. I don't know what it's going to take to get these people to see. The Democrats are being demonized, but at the end of the day, they're the ones who are actually going to give your family a step up. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. Great call, my friend. I appreciate you. And,
Thanks, Lauren.
Listen, I always support the LGBTQ community. I always will. And the bigoted nature of these. Speaking of bigots, Hulk Hogan. I mean, another guy who openly used the N-word, was homophobic, and we're supposed to be crying over his death. No, I don't think so. I don't think so, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, who's the next person? Thank you for the call, by the way. I appreciate you. Who's the next?
Just one more thing. I did say what's done in the dark comes to the light. I'll leave it at that.
You're right, my friend. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Paul on line 2. Paul on line 2 is next up on PTL. Hey, Paul. Good to hear from you, my friend. What's going on?
Good, buddy. You know, I don't even think this is about the children because they don't give a damn when children are shot in schools. They don't care about the 14 million kids that go to school hungry every day. They don't care about kids that don't have health care. They don't care about kids that don't have a house. They sure in the hell didn't care about the 13-year-old Katie Johnson that their orange messiah sexually molested. All they cared about, and the only reason they're upset, and I want to get your opinion, is they thought there was going to be a line of Democrats put in handcuffs behind bars, and they wanted people to suffer. That's what I think this is. I mean, they overlooked rape, they overlooked felonies, January 6th, Officer Sitnick dying. They overlooked 30,000 lives, but this is the hill that they're going to die on. This is the red line.
Yeah, they care more about drag queens. They show more hatred towards drag queens reading than they do the guy that they voted for, who they support, who is not only an adjudicated rapist, but a predator. He's, best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 10 years, and we're supposed to be led to believe that he's in the Epstein files and he didn't commit any crimes. He wasn't with underage girls.
It was their own people. It was Steve Bannon, Kash Patel. Those were the people that were saying all these Democrats were going to go down and go to prison, and they were going to expose what they were doing to children, and there was a cabal, and it was worldwide. And what they did was they had the MAGA supporters salivating, just waiting for these people to get damaged and to put charges on them. And as it turns out, the leader of their people is the one who's could be possibly the most guilty.
Yeah, no doubt.
Can I say one more thing really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
On his, and this is a little off topic. Today, the White House posted a picture, an image of this 1800s scene, right? It has a white angel carrying a Trump Bible with the rope around her arm. You have black people working in the fields. You have Native Americans basically being forced off their lands. Because, Brian, that's what this is about. Mm-hmm. We have to, and you've said this, and you've had guests on here, this is what they want. They are scared to death that the white man is not the majority of this country. They don't want anybody here. They don't want brown people, immigrants, Muslims. We can import white people from South Africa. That's okay. But we're taking away Martin Luther King history, Rosa Parks history. It's just, I don't understand how you get to this point in your life.
Paul, I'm going to say it this way, and you could tell me whether both of you agree with me or not, and I've said this before on the show, and I'm not being facetious here. Donald Trump could be seen on a video molesting a 13-year-old girl. video of it.
Yes.
And there is I'm not going to say a small portion, a good portion, maybe even a large portion of Donald Trump's base that would still vote for him over Kamala Harris. How can you reason with these despicable people? You can't. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah. They live in another reality. They're, I guess you would call it psychosis if you were talking about clinically. And when you speak to them, our job is to speak in terms of accurate information, be factual, and they're just over on some other planet. And they're willing to back pedophiles and people who committed crimes, heinous crimes against children, and perpetrated that with all of their friends. But but like you said, on the same token, they want to look down and judge everybody else in the world.
And Paul, I agree. And Paul, think about this for a minute. Most MAGA Republicans are more upset at the way Kamala Harris laughs and her cackle, as they call it, or an alleged affair that she had with Willie Brown 30 years ago. They seem to be more upset about that and the fact that Hunter Biden is selling paintings than they do the man who they still support, who's a rapist and probably a pedophile.
They were never going to elect Kamala Harris because, in my opinion, she's black and she's a female, and America just wasn't ready. No matter how talented, no matter how smart, no matter how well-spoken she was, they just were not ready to turn it over to somebody that smart. So they were left with someone who just says, calls it Tanzania instead of, Tunisia. Right. He says Tunisia, and a man who can't even produce names of countries.
There's a quote, Brian, that I heard, and I think it was LBJ. He said, "This country will vote for the most morally bankrupt, repugnant, racist white man who is stealing their wallets over the most qualified black man." And that's true.
Yeah.
He's a bubbling idiot. He has no morality. Go listen. I'll send you the clip later, but Jeff Daniels did a really, really good quote that this country has just gone away from morality. The Republican Party is now a religious cult of white supremacy.
You're right.
They don't care about morality, decency, integrity, nothing. They don't care about, they want white America, nothing else.
You're right. It's Make America White again. Paul, it's always good to hear from you, my friend. I do appreciate your phone call. All right, you have a good one, Paul.
See you later.
Take care.
Thanks, Paul.
Let's go to line one. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up. I think we have two Terrys on the line. Let's go to line one. Line one, Terry. Hey, Terry, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. Hey, Leonard. Good afternoon. I am totally outraged with this AG going to meet with Maxwell. It's just more cover-up, to me, is what is going to happen there. Mm-hmm. I actually watched the interview last night with the attorney that defended all of those women, and my heart was just breaking the whole time I was hearing him talk about that. And these women want accountability. And I feel so bad for them. I believe he said that one of them committed suicide. The other one died from a drug addiction. My heart is just breaking for them.
Many of the women say that their life's never been the same. Their life's just not the same.
Exactly.
They've ruined their lives.
And they said that he said that they were being more traumatized by this being talked about, but yet they still want the accountability. They want it to come out. And I also believe, speaking about people that hung out with Epstein, didn't Prince Andrew hang out with Epstein?
Yes.
And his royal duties were cut, and he's been very not visible.
Well, he was hanging out with Virginia Giuffre, right? Mm-hmm. And and they accused her of doing it for the money and the power, and he ended up settling with her for a lot of money. But a lot of people don't know this. Most of the money went to a charity for a women's shelter.
And I've been pretty clear on this, and I'll say it again. And I said this with Ryan Shedd in the first segment. I don't care whether you have a D or an R next to your name. If you're in those files and you did some horrible things to children, let's find out who you are and let's put you to jail. The problem is that the guy who happens to be the president of the United States, who has the power to release all these files, will not be doing it because we now know that he is in the files, and it is a major cover-up. And if anybody can prove to me that Joe Biden is in the Epstein files, please, I'm ready to hear from you. I know you guys want to talk about Obamagate. You guys want to talk about what sodas in Coca-Cola. I know you guys want to talk about everything else. Maybe somebody keyed another Tesla. I don't know. Maybe you guys want to talk about that stuff or drag queen reading or this horrible or teachers that are indoctrinating your kids because they're saying it's okay to be gay. Or I don't know. Maybe you want to talk about the vaccines because you think that might have had something to do with Hulk Hogan's death. I know you guys want to talk about everything else but the fact that you guys support a rapist. You guys support a pedophile. You guys support the man who is withholding the Epstein files because he's in it, because he was Jeffrey Epstein's best friend for 10 years. They partied together. You don't think Donald Trump had sex with underage girls? Sure. You're probably the same person that thinks that Matt Gaetz was never with an underage girl either. Why do you think Donald Trump wanted Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General, huh? Why do you think Donald Trump hangs out with these people? You are who you hang out with. My mother taught me that at a very young age. You are who you hang out with. And I'm very happy to say I don't have any best friends, and I've never had any best friends in my life that rape children, okay? And I would never have a friend like that rapes children, okay? And I don't think Leonard has either. Leonard has gone after people like that as a police officer, thank God.
Put many in jail.
Yeah. What decent human being in your life, you're friends with a pedophile? Donald Trump was friends with this guy for 10 years. Oh, he didn't know. And then when he learned that he was a bad guy, he banned him from Mar-a-Lago. Are you freaking kidding me? Is anybody believe that for a second? They're a bunch of liars, these people. And they are defending the pedophile Mark Lane Mullen today on the House floor. They are so despicable, these people. They are such hypocrites. Let's release the Epstein files. Let's get everybody in the Epstein files. But once we learn that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files,
wait.
Let's just wait. Let's just wait on that. It's a freaking joke, these people. They're the biggest hypocrites in the world.
By the way, with the Obama situation, the Supreme Court has ruled that presidents have complete immunity on the decisions they make as a president. So I really don't know where they're going with that. Because even if they did push it, what are they going to say? He had presidential immunity anyway.
Yeah,
and
that's
it applies to all presidents.
That's true. Thank you for the call, Terry. I appreciate you. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Jack on line 3. Hey, Jack, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Brian? Hey Leonard, what's up, man? Hey, just listening, that Leonard, of course, covered the topic that I was going to talk about as far as, I'm in these right room chats and it's exactly what he said. Like, they would never, Donald Trump could eat a baby on live TV and they're never going to vote for a black woman. Like, it just, so there's no bottom. I've said it forever. There's no bottom to these people. And, I was just, I was going to call in and talk about, I was watching the Epstein deposition that was just made available. It's only like 2 minutes because he ends up walking out because they had like testimony of someone saying that his penis is shaped like a hard-boiled egg, and it's thick at the bottom and real skinny at the top. And he, his lawyer gets all pissed off and they walk out. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's out today. And they ask him questions about his involvement with Donald Trump. And, of course, he answers the first couple questions, and the minute they get to Trump, he pleads the fifth. And, they ask him, have you been with Donald Trump in settings with underage girls? And immediately pleads the fifth. Have you solicited women underage? And they went through about 4 different continents, and each one was, I'll plead the fifth on that. But it's funny, he answers other questions in the thing. And I just, I found it, humorous. So I'm bringing that up because, the other topic I was going to talk about was covered earlier. Yeah. So.
No, I got you, my friend, and I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a time right now, at least never in my lifetime, that the President of the United States is most likely a pedophile. We know that he's a liable sexual abuser, best friends with one of the biggest sex traffickers ever.
Well, let's not forget, Brian, that people have come forward and given details. It's not just a rumor that he was with young girls. The young girls have testified. The one girl, Virginia, she dropped her case because of death threats, but she's on the record. Her deposition is on the record.
I think it's important to some of my MAGA friends out there. I think it's important that I kind of review a little bit of the man who you still support and you voted for. You voted for a man who decided to brag sexually on the Howard Stern show about going into teenage girls' locker rooms, watching them undress without their permission. You voted for a man who's cheated on every woman he's ever been with, including Melania, when Donald Trump had sex with a porn star and Stormy Daniels right after Melania had Barron. You voted for a man who bragged about sexually assaulting women. We heard it on audio. You voted for a man who dodged the military multiple times, who mocked John McCain and said he didn't respect him because he was captured. A POW. He's mocked Gold Star families.
The daughter, talked about his daughter.
He's also mocked minorities in regards to people that are from Mexico. They're rapists and they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. You voted for a man who lost thousands and thousands of discrimination lawsuits because he didn't want black people living in his properties in New York. You voted for a man who took a page out of the New York Times and said that he thought the Central Park Five should all get the death penalty. And then when they were exonerated based on DNA evidence, proven to be innocent, Donald Trump didn't retract. In fact, he doubled down. Donald Trump ran recently on a story that they're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats when it was completely debunked. Another attempt to attack minorities in this country and those that might be migrants or undocumented. And you have voted for a man who literally is ripping up parts of our own Constitution because last I checked, it said any person in this country deserves due process, not any citizen. You voted for a man who gloats. He gloats about treating minorities poorly. He gloats about putting a bunch of non-violent criminals who might not have the proper paperwork in a place called Alligator Alcatraz. You also voted for a man who has no problem spending $20-30 million of taxpayer money going to the Super Bowl so he could wave at the crowd and then leave at halftime. This is who you voted for. A man who has been a complete scumbag his entire life, who has treated women poorly his entire life, has treated his daughter like a sex object. He's made comments on the record talking about her body, talking about how they have sex in common with one another. And now we are learning. You voted for a guy who not only was best friends with one of the biggest child predators in American history, but you voted for a guy who is in the Epstein files. You voted for a guy who partied with Jeffrey Epstein, and God knows the horrible things that he did with Jeffrey Epstein. This is who you voted for. How can you possibly look yourself in the mirror and say that you made the right decision by voting for Donald J. Trump? Because I'm going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, if you still are a Donald Trump supporter, and if you still would vote for this man again, then I don't want you in my life. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you because I think you are despicable.
They're bad
you
people.
are despicable.
They're not good people. That's just the bottom line. They're just people who don't have a moral compass, who will say anything just to get what they want. But that was well said, Brian, because when you start piling up the questions like that and saying, is this the person that you support now and voted for because you voted for him, it makes it sound pretty bad. I mean, they have to be
That's a nice way of putting it.
Pretty soulless people to stick with someone who has embarrassed our country. He's embarrassed his family. He's embarrassed politicians. He's embarrassed women, and yet other countries make fun of him. They tease us about him, and they just keep supporting him. I don't get it.
I don't either. Let me tell you something. I'm done with you people. I've had it. Now, I was at that point, the first month of Donald Trump's administration, but at this point, what does this man need to do? Reaver on the YouTube Super Chat says, not to be paranoid, but what exactly would stop Trump from just publishing a fake Epstein list, falsely naming only Democrats and their supporters? Any agency that can authenticate it is run by MAGA. Well, I could tell you this. That's a good question. I don't think that's going to happen because there's a lot of people, I would imagine, that have seen the Epstein files that are not in MAGA.
Right. There's original files.
Right.
They're in deposition. They're interrogatories. They're on the record. They're on video. And this is the problem. The problem is the story already came out, and I believe that people like Elon Musk and others already have the complete list, the complete story. So Donald Trump, yes, they could produce something fake, but eventually it's going to be put up against factual evidence that's on video, that's recorded. And don't forget, didn't number 27 victim just come out? They call her 27?
Yes, correct. She came out, yep.
And the account that they're giving of the specifics of how they were abused and how they were treated.
Oh, it's
and
horrible.
multiple felonies. I mean, that's up against a story that they're going to make up. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
It's pretty awful. Number to call, by the way, if you want to be a part of the conversation. We'll get back to the phone line, 702-221-SAVE. Line 1 is, we're going to Pete Hey, Pete, thanks for calling in to PTL. What's on your mind, man? Keith, sorry about that, Keith. Go right ahead.
I remember him.
Mm-hmm. Somebody on, there are people on YouTube that are saying they can't hear the caller. I apologize, caller. There's people on the YouTube super chat that are saying they can't hear the caller. So I don't know.
The caller's talking about knowing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wrestlers.
I don't know what's going on with the audio, but I got about 50 people that are saying they can't hear the call. I apologize. Go right ahead. Okay. Well, I can hear you just fine, but everybody on YouTube can't hear you. I don't know what just happened, but go ahead, sir.
My ex-wife actually contacted me earlier today after Hulk died, and she's trying to dig up some of the old photos that she has with my son hanging out with all these wrestlers.
They can't hear it.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what just changed there.
He was talking about Hulk Hogan.
So the caller, now they're saying sound is fixed. We can hear him now. Okay, I don't know what just happened. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Guys like Hulk Hogan, Randy the Macho Man Savage, they used to come by my house all the time. And they seem like decent people.
Right.
And I'm talking 30 years ago, back when my boys were like 4 or 5 years old. And my wife, my ex-wife, she thinks that she can find the photos of some of those wrestlers with my sons.
Okay, well, let's go back to the big topic at hand if we're talking about that, which would obviously be Hulk Hogan, okay? So my opinion on Hulk Hogan has not changed in a very long time since the audio was released of him openly using the N-word and self-admitting that he's a racist. I'm going to be very clear on this, and I don't care if there are people in the chat, and I don't care if there are people out there that are huge Hulk Hogan fans. I don't care. Hulk Hogan was a really bad guy. He was not a good man. He was a bad dude, and we're not just talking about cheating, okay? I know Ozzy Osbourne
and he
cheated.
said it openly.
Yeah,
he was racist openly.
Right. I know Ozzy Osbourne cheated on his wife, and I don't abide or commend that behavior, but I know Ozzy made his mistakes. But I wouldn't put Ozzy Osbourne in the same category as Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was a bad dude, and I mean that in a negative way. He was an openly racist, bad man.
Big-time Trump
supporter.
supporter.
And just because you're a Trump supporter doesn't necessarily mean you're a racist, but Hulk Hogan was. What does it say about the Republican Party that they would let this guy who openly used the N-word to speak at the Republican National Convention? Ladies and gentlemen, that's everything you need to know about Republicans.
I can tell you, Brian, I never heard Hulk Hogan use the N-word in my presence.
Okay, but sir, what does that mean?
How's that relevant?
Well, I'm just telling you.
So if David Duke, if I
we're
told
telling you that he did say
it as a bad person. But.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, sir. Have you heard the audio tape of Hulk Hogan self-admitting that he's a racist? Have you heard that audio?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So so knowing that he is an open racist and he uses the N-word, I'm wondering how you can say right now with good conscience, in good faith, that you don't think he's a bad person. How can you say that?
Oh, I'm not saying he's not a good person. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm just saying he didn't come across as that person to me back then.
So that could have been an act then, couldn't it have been?
It's possible. I mean, they're all actors. I mean, that's
okay. So can you? I'm having trouble following you. Hold on a second. So, are you willing to admit to me right now that Hulk Hogan was a bad guy?
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. I don't care. I don't care about him now.
Okay.
I can care less about him.
Okay, I understand. I was getting a little worried there for a second, my friend. Okay, I understand now, Keith. Okay.
All I was saying
Jeffrey Dahmer was a pretty good guy when he was young.
Back then, he didn't come across to me as a bad person.
Yeah. Well, listen, I didn't know about it. I'll be honest with you, Keith. I didn't know about any of that stuff. I didn't know that Hulk Hogan was a blatant racist. But then when this audio comes out, it's almost like he becomes a star within the Republican Party right?
They loved him.
If you're the
I don't get it.
They were
I don't
cheering
get
him
it
and
either.
cheering him. They're going,
I don't get it.
If you're the McCloskeys and you point a bunch of guns at a bunch of black people, all of a sudden you're a hero and you're speaking at the Republican National Convention. If you're Kyle Rittenhouse and you're 17 years old and you show up to a Black Lives Matter protest wearing camouflage and holding your AR-15, looking for trouble, you become a star within the Republican Party. You know who the Democrats put up there? They put up war heroes. You know who Democrats put up there? They put up families who have lost loved ones.
Humanitarians like Oprah.
Thank you. Yes, they put up
humanitarian people who help others.
Michelle Obamas of the world, heroes. That's who the Republicans put on a pedestal. The guy who runs the UFC, okay, Dana White, who smacked his wife in public. A guy like Kid Rock, okay? Kid Rock, who uses homophobic slurs at his concerts.
And shoots beer cans.
Yeah. These are the idiots and the despicable people that the Republicans put on a pedestal. It's despicable. Hulk Hogan is despicable. His legacy should not go down as a wonderful wrestler. His legacy should go down as a piece of human garbage who was a racist bigot. Because that's who Hulk Hogan was.
We're tired of trying to talk nicely about bad
agree.
people. We're tired of, and what Brian is saying, I think, not to put words in your mouth, is we're not even going to try. If they're bad people, they're bad people. We're not going to try to sugarcoat it and dance around the issue and say, you know what? I don't believe people change. I don't believe Hulk Hogan changed. I believe people become who they really were the whole time. That's what I believe.
Thank you for the call, Keith. I appreciate you, and I'm glad that he.
Thank you for letting me rant.
He re-emphasized his feelings.
And
on
I
Hulk
agree
Hogan.
with you.
I was getting worried there for a second. Demetrius is online too. Hi, Demetrius. What's going on?
Hey, how y'all doing this afternoon, gentlemen?
Hey.
I want to piggyback on to what Leonard had said that that I honestly believe that the reason why they're supporting Trump, a good portion of his base, because they wouldn't mind being with underage girls themselves. And it's sad that we in times like this, but hey, there's nothing gonna change them. I mean, I know, like in Kentucky, it was a lawmaker trying to pass a law to get, it's okay to marry a 12-year-old. So that's just who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of them would like to mess with underage girls themselves.
Let me tell you something. The people in the Republican Party that are the most anti-gay people are usually gay themselves. The people in the party...
You're not talking about Lindsey Graham, are you?
I would never say that. Or
no,
George
that's
Santos.
not, because there's no evidence of that.
Yeah, no evidence at all. But, the people out there that are so anti-child pedophilia, which, by the way, we all should be against child sex trafficking, are the people that are now defending Donald Trump. So they've never had credibility. They certainly don't have it now, Demetrius.
Can I ask you a question, Demetrius?
Yes.
So I have stated on this program, and it is my position, that a lot of the MAGAs are willing to make less money and let inflation grow and lose privileges and not get jobs. And as long as I'm saying, quote unquote, those other people don't get them, like minorities, like black people, like Hispanics, do you believe that they would rather take a hit and lose money or lose jobs as long as they don't? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead and finish your statement.
As long as them other people don't get the jobs or the money. In other words, vote against their own self-interest.
Yes, they're ready for. I believe, like I was telling somebody yesterday, they were starting World War III just to get off this Epstein topic.
Oh, no doubt.
They'll do anything.
I agree.
There's no need. I hope this is the sticking thing to stick on the wall, but you're not going to. After Trump, they're just going to find something else to.
I agree, Demetrius. I'm with you, man, 150%, and I do appreciate your phone call. Thank you.
Excellent show again, Leonard and Brian. Love your show.
Thank you, Demetrius.
Everybody hit the like button.
I appreciate that, Demetrius. Thank you. There's somebody on the line named Democratic MAGA. I don't know what that means, but we'll go to line 4 and we'll find out. Democratic MAGA, hello. Are you there?
Brian, what is up?
Hello.
So, yes, sir. So I want to first, because I know what you're going to say, I'm going to be honest. I honestly voted for a guy that cheated on his wife multiple times, got caught, lied about it to the American people, but I still like Bill Clinton and John Kennedy, who did drugs in office. So that is true. I did vote for those two guys to compare apples to apples. Second point, you said everyone is racist because they don't want a black woman to be president. Does that mean all the Democrats
Wait, hold on a
are
second.
racist?
Hold on a second.
Those are not your
Hold on a second. I don't tolerate people who misquote things that I say. And
Okay, go ahead, Tommy.
Well, I never said that if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, that means you're a racist. Where are you getting that?
I said that America was not ready to have a black woman and a female be president. And yes, I think a lot of it was based on racism. That's what I said, to be accurate.
Okay, well, and my response to that is it's all the Democrats. And the reason I say that is when she ran for president in the Democratic primary, she got 4% of the Democratic vote.
Okay, so what? Why are we talking about Kamala Harris now when Donald Trump is a pedophile who's the president of the United States?
He's trying to change the
Well,
subject.
hold on. Let's talk about this.
Well,
hold on, Mr. Democrat MAGA. I don't know what that means because if you're MAGA,
Okay, let me explain to you what that means. Here's what that means. So I listen to your show because I love it. And I listen and you make a ton of good points, but everything is there's never one positive thing about the Republicans. So then I go on.
That's not true. That's not true. No. I'm going to cut you off. That's not true.
Everything, but very.
Well, then
very
don't
little.
say.
Would you
Well,
agree to that?
then don't make generalizations about me that are not true. I don't appreciate that. Okay, I agree with Republicans on some issues, capital punishment being one of them. But at the same time, I'm curious, sir. You called into the show to criticize Kamala Harris when
I think what he was trying to say is that it wasn't completely racist.
All right.
But most of it was.
There are a lot of people in this country that did not vote for Kamala Harris because she's black and because she's a woman. Now, if you disagree with me, you have the right to disagree with me. But they're just like there are a lot of people in this country that wouldn't vote for Pete Buttigieg because he's gay. Now, those people are idiots and bigots, sir. But did you vote for Donald Trump?
And you're not going to believe this. I'll tell you the honest truth. I was going to finish my sentence. So then I listened to Fox, and they have never, ever had anything good to say about Democrats.
Did he not answer?
Did you? Who did you vote for? Who did you vote for?
This is the swear to God truth. I'm going to tell you. I did vote for Harris. I held my nose and voted for her because it was the lesser of two evils to me.
It wasn't the lesser of two evils.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Why is Kamala Harris evil?
Well, that's just a terminology.
Okay, then maybe you shouldn't use that because
she's the lesser of.
It's hyperbole. It's not true.
It's not true. You want to know who's evil? I'm going to tell you who's evil. The man who's in the Epstein files. The man who's a 34-count felon. The man who brags about going into teenage locker rooms. That's evil behavior. What is your problem with Kamala
What's wrong
Harris?
with saying that you didn't vote for Trump for good, positive reasons? What's wrong with saying that? What's wrong with saying I didn't want to vote for a guy?
Sir, I'm not trying to give you a hard time here, but what's so bad about Kamala Harris? Tell me, please.
Well, I didn't. I'm not the only one. The Democratic Party gave her 4%.
I don't care. I don't care the way people voted. I'm asking you.
5 million votes.
Hold on. I don't care what the percentage of whatever you're. That's irrelevant to this conversation.
There was the primary.
Tell me. Forget about.
She lost to Biden.
I don't care about that. I'm asking you right now. What was so bad about Kamala Harris? Tell me.
I think publicly, just trouble putting together. There's a million clips of her not being able to put sentences.
Clips of her not being able to put sentences together? Are you kidding me?
Compared to Sleepy Trump?
Policy. Well, that's true too. But what policy, I could really get behind?
Sure.
Now, there's a million.
Sure. Let's ask you about that. Let's ask you.
How about building 4 million new houses because the low income people were short on housing? That was one of her policies.
How about lowering the tax rate for household incomes that are
lowering insulin
under $400,000 a year? How about continuing Plan B and Plan D on everybody's health care coverage when it comes to capping insulin?
How about bringing back Roe versus Wade?
What about bringing back Roe versus Wade? What about raising minimum wage? What about
not bring back Roe versus Wade?
That was
part of her platform, which obviously you didn't even pay attention to. How could I have
didn't change that?
How could she change it if she's the vice president? The vice president.
So that's what I'm saying.
What do you mean that's what you're saying?
Policies are what you put out before you get elected.
Hold on. She was the. I'm going to try to calm down here, sir. Okay, but you're making it really hard on me. Okay. She was the freaking vice president of the United States. The vice president of the United States doesn't implement policy. When she ran for president of the United States, part of her platform was she said she was going to try to bring back Roe versus Wade. What part of that do you not understand?
She's going to bring it back from it was already there.
Yes.
Bring it back from what?
Yes, she's going to put it on the table. to try to get it back to
Sir,
where it was
I'm
before
trying
it was
to be
changed.
as nice as I
It's a
can.
policy. That is a position.
Sir,
That's a platform.
I appreciate you being a fan of the show, and don't take this the wrong way, but you are a very low information
What's a
voter.
Dem MAGA?
What is a Democratic MAGA? Yeah, that's a good question, Leonard.
What's a Dem MAGA? If you're MAGA at all, you're MAGA. That's
No,
like
well,
saying
yes
that
and
you're
no.
a partial pedophile. If you're a pedophile, you're a pedophile.
And
There's
you
no
called
partial.
Kamala Harris.
That's going a little bit
You
extreme.
called
on that.
Kamala.
Just using an
Hold on.
That's just an example.
You called Kamala Harris evil, then you backtracked on that. Okay.
Well, Brian, you know that's a figure of speech.
No, I don't.
You
No,
know
I
it's
don't.
That's a
broader than
Republican
that.
talking point.
Leonard's right.
You've
It's a,
never
that's a
heard the
Republican
laughter of
talking
two
point.
evils.
you couldn't name one policy that you like under Kamala Harris. That's ridiculous. That's idiocy. That's ridiculous.
Well, but what I'm saying is there are policies on both sides that I like.
Give me
Let's
some
put them down the
policies.
middle. I'm an
Give me some
independent.
policies
let's
that
start
Donald
there.
Trump has implemented in the first 6 months that you think are great policies for the United States of America.
Well, one, I like NATO paying their fair share. I like us not footing the bill for that. I like us selling.
Okay, hold on.
Where money is not being.
Let's do one at a time, because I don't want you, sir, to roll off a bunch of things and then we forget which ones you said. Let's start about conserving money. Okay, you like the fact that in that situation you think Donald Trump saved the nation money. Is that what you're saying? Is that a fair characterization?
In that particular case, he didn't
Gotcha.
save us money, but he got not NATO to pay more. Their fair
Gotcha.
share that they're obligated to.
Okay,
Yes.
so you're for Doge and you're for conserving money, government money. Is that a fair characterization?
Correct, and I know where
Okay.
you're going. I'm not for the big beautiful bill. No.
Okay, well then don't bring that up then.
Well, then it
because
doesn't make
Because
sense.
I don't have to be for everything. I can be.
you care that you're
independent and choose.
fiscally conservative, and you care, and you're praising Donald Trump for saving the United States money when he's going to get us trillions of dollars more in debt. In his first administration, he got us $8.2 trillion in debt, and you're trying to make the case that he's saving money for the nation with these tariffs, with the American consumers suffering because of it, taking away food stamps
No.
and Medicaid for people, and you have the audacity to say, geez, I really like what he did with this. He might
I
have
say
saved us
No,
a few
you're
million
not.
dollars.
You're twisting what I said. So
Can
here,
I say something,
yeah,
Dem
go ahead,
MAGA? Can I say something? So the reason
Go
why
ahead.
Donald Trump pushed for more money to be put into NATO was so that he could help the manufacturers in America who sell weapons of war. So when the weapons of war go to Ukraine, they can pass them through NATO, which he's done, and NATO has to pay the bill. So he's helping
Correct.
out the warmongers. And you agree with that?
Well, it's put. Now you say people lose their job because of this and that. That's creating American jobs, manufacturing.
It's not.
and defense.
No, it came out of surplus. We will not create more surplus to sell to
Joe
NATO.
Biden had the lowest
They sold them bombs. They sold them Patriot missiles out of our surplus. That's what they did.
Joe Biden had some of the lowest unemployment numbers in decades, so you can't make the
Well,
argument.
here's the other thing too. That on your argument too, that you said another good thing. We've been giving Iran billions of dollars.
Joe
We
Biden
bombed
froze
them,
those
and you
assets.
went
Not
online-
true. Not true. Joe
Well,
Biden froze those
Obama
assets.
did.
Joe Biden froze the
Obama.
assets. Do you know what that? Hold on one second. Do you know what that money was supposed to be used for? Do you know why Obama did that? I bet you have no
to
idea.
help expedite the inspections of the nuclear weapons.
No, you're wrong. That's not what that money was be allocated to. Why don't you learn about what that money was supposed to be used for before you criticize a president?
That was part of the agreement, but the money was money that we owed them from sanctions that we lifted.
And by the way, Barack Obama
But
didn't
you
drop.
also
Barack
said-
Obama. Hold on a second. Barack Obama didn't drop any bombs in Iran. Guess who did? Guess who did? Okay, guess who did? Donald Trump. He got us into an ill-advised war because he took the intelligence of Benjamin Netanyahu. But I don't hear you criticizing that. But you want to talk about Barack Obama.
Are you said are we in a war? I didn't see grounds in a troop in a battle.
So,
Is it a one-time
so
or
let
are we
me
in a
get
war?
this. So
Are
let
we
me get this
technically in a
straight.
war?
So let me get this straight. We can bomb another country, but according to your standards, which are illogical, if boots aren't on the ground,
it's not.
It's not a war. Is that your definition? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
So you're telling me a one-time bombing means we're now in a war?
First of all, well, let me ask you a question.
It was an act of
Okay,
war.
let's go by your
It was an act of
definition.
war, but are we in
Let's
war?
go
Are we
by.
in war right now?
Okay, I'm going to respond to you, but let's go by your idiocy, for lack of a better term. You're telling me if another country bombed us, but they didn't put any troops on the ground, you wouldn't call it a war? You wouldn't say we're at war?
That makes no sense.
What the hell are you talking about?
Not the same, because when
Not the same.
How many
Obama
times have the
bombed Libya,
Houthis bombed
were we
Israel?
in war with Libya when we bombed Libya? Were we at war with them?
When you bomb another country,
So
you are
we're
at
at
war
with
okay,
Libya.
now
That's
let
one
me
of
be
our
very
wars.
clear
Vietnam,
on this, okay? Our
Korea,
own intelligence,
Libya.
according to Tulsi Gabbard several months ago when she was under oath, that our intelligence said that they were
You're
not
correct.
advancing any nuclear capabilities. Donald Trump decided to listen to Israel once again. Guess who else listened to Israel? A guy by the name of George W. Bush, when he got us into an ill-advised war and there were no weapons of mass destruction. This is a joke. And guess what?
But is this a
If we
war?
weren't at war,
Leonard,
I'm wondering
that is
why.
not.
The pet killer, what's her name? Christy Noam, put us under a 3-month terrorist watch in the United States of America, and the supreme leader of Iran is threatening this country. So for you to sit there and to say that we are not
got a
at
bounty on
war
the president.
is a joke.
He put a
it's
bounty.
a joke.
Can I circle back to Iran for a second, because you
Yeah,
need to
real quick, 'cause I got
understand
one
where
thing
that
to say
money
about
came
that,
from
too.
that Obama gave to Iran. So we had massive sanctions, and we closed down their banks because we didn't want them to get nuclear weapons. So when the agreement
Correct.
was signed, all the United States, we didn't give them money like a bribe. What we did was we removed the sanctions and we gave them the money that they were already due anyway because of the sanctions. And removing them was part of the agreement, so they wouldn't enrich uranium and they wouldn't build nuclear bombs. It was an agreement. It nothing to do with giving them money.
Let me ask you a few
But they
questions, sir.
continue to-
Let me just ask you a few questions about Donald Trump, if that's okay, sir. Okay.
okay, but
Are
you
you
would
okay
at
with
least
people not
concede
getting
we're
due
not at war
process in
with
this
Iran.
country? Are you okay with that?
So now due process, you're I don't know if you got that completely right. So here's the deal.
What does it say in the
There's only one
Constitution?
definition of due process.
Okay, any person. So don't say I didn't get it right.
So let's just say, and Leonard will know this, if I am driving drunk,
Here comes the ridiculous
and get in that-
analogy.
well,
No,
and,
let him
and
go
get in
ahead.
an
Go ahead.
accident, I don't get due process tomorrow.
What are you talking
go
about?
home.
What are you talking about? If you're in a drunk
Wait,
driving
when
accident, you get due process.
Okay,
What are you
let me-
talking
when
about?
I show up on the
But-
scene, your due process starts right there.
Yeah, what are you
because
talking
I'm
about?
not allowed to assume
Correct.
that you're
So
drunk. I'm not allowed to assume that it was the accident was your fault. I have to do a field sobriety test under certain rules and laws and guidelines. So literally, when you show up on the scene, your due process
Yeah.
starts there.
So bad example.
Okay, but then what happens is I go home for a month or 2 months or 6 months until my day in court comes.
Okay.
I'm presumed innocent until I don't get due process.
Were they
tomorrow.
sent to an El Salvador prison?
Hey, let me tell you what's happened to the immigrants. They're going 6 months later to the court, and you know what happens?
They're getting
revoking-
arrested.
Yes, they're revoking their status. They're canceling their hearing, and they're arresting them and putting them in white
so
vans
now that you're
and carting
you're
them
proven
away.
wrong
you
on
don't-
that analogy, I'm going to ask you the same question again because you didn't
don't
answer
get
it.
due process tomorrow. Like if you get arrested today, you don't get
You
due
get it the
process
minute the
tomorrow.
cop shows
What
up. You
are
have
you
due
talking
process.
about?
Okay, then how come P. Diddy is in prison for a year?
Because he
before
was
got his due
convicted,
process?
and the
No,
judge.
he wasn't.
And they
He's not even
denied
convicted.
bail.
No,
He's a
not.
billionaire. He's a billionaire,
But
and they denied him
He
bail.
didn't get- So why'd they put him in jail if he didn't get due process? He put him right in jail. He
How
didn't have
could
due
you
process.
They
say-
had probable cause. That has nothing to do with
What
due
do you-
process.
Probable cause.
You
so
don't-
if you're here illegally, we have probable cause that you're
No,
here
you
illegally.
don't. That's
Okay,
called.
probable cause has
doesn't even
nothing to do with due process. If you're here illegally and you're saying that's reasonable suspicion to stop someone, and you find out they're here illegally, guess what? You still get due process. The fact that you broke the law is irrelevant in all cases in America. And what Brian was saying is it doesn't just apply to criminals or people committing crimes. It applies to all people who live in the United States.
I don't think you understand
if
what due
P-
process
but if
is.
P. Diddy
You
is
keep
found
bringing up P.
innocent,
Diddy. He had a
I'm
defense.
just saying this as an example. That's a major example. If he
They
found
indicted
out-
It's a
him.
stupid
They
example.
indicted
then
him
he
and
was
they
in
booked him.
prison, but they put him in prison.
A grand
and he should be
jury.
found innocent.
A grand jury indicted him. Can you tell me that all these people that are being deported, some nonviolent criminals sent to El Salvador prisons, are getting indicted by grand juries? Do you not understand
Do you know
what
what
due
happens
process
on a
is?
DUI if you can't afford to bail out?
Oh.
Do you know what happens? You stay in jail until you see
Yeah.
the judge.
Let me ask you something. Are you okay with the tariffs where the American consumers are putting up billions and billions of dollars? Are you good with that,
Well,
sir?
here-
You think that's good for the
So here's
economy?
The funny thing about that. So
There's nothing
yes
funny
or no.
about it.
One, the stock market is at a record high. So is
Guess
the,
what? There's a lot of
S&P.
most people in this country are not invested in the stock
and
market.
stock markets are futures. They have nothing to do with actual
Yeah,
money.
and guess what?
Yeah,
Most
and
most
then
people
also,
most people
I was
in this
under-
country are not invested in the stock market. Do you understand that? Stop talking
But
about
I
the
would say-
market.
And they're predictions. They're
that doesn't-
futures. They have nothing to do with real money.
So yes, it does. So
It does
if
not.
I'm- if I'm Westinghouse or Coca-Cola, they're projecting out. How's my sales going to be in a year?
How many deals has he made? How many deals has he
You
made?
can go invest in Coca-Cola and lose millions.
How many deals has he made? Remember when they said 90 deals in 90 days? Is the art of the deal, right? How many deals has he made, sir?
So, according to the BBC, there were deals because I like to watch that too.
How many deals? Why can't you just answer a question?
I don't know 100%.
You don't know 100%. There have been 2 deals made. I do know 100%. You don't know 100% anything.
100%. You would bet your house on there's only been 2 deals made.
No. Yeah, because that's yes, that's 100%. I'll bet anything, sir.
So
just like I would bet like your IQ is under 30. I would bet on that as well.
So what is your source on 2 deals?
The White House. The White House. Because the only deals
MSNBC.
The White House. The only deals that have been signed in ink that even Caroline Leavitt has admitted in front of reporters is that 2 deals have been made, and then they're claiming that all these letters that have been written to all these countries.
And most of them are framework. What he's talking about.
Framework of deals is not a deal.
That's what he's talking about.
You don't seem to understand or know the difference. What do you think about the biggest tax breaks to the top 1% in the history of this country? What do you think about that? You think that's good for the economy?
Can I go one last thing with tariffs real quick?
Well, why don't you answer my question? Why don't you answer a question directly? What do you think about the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% in the United States of America in the history of this country in the big and beautiful bill? Do you think that's good for the country?
No.
You don't.
And again, that's because I'm not 100% on either side. I'm down the middle.
Right, you're down. You're down the middle, but you seem to can't name one reason why you didn't vote for Kamala Harris.
If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
On the tariffs. What if? And I'm just asking because I don't know. What if every country, including us, just said there were no tariffs? We don't tariff you, you don't tariff us. The whole world has no tariffs. Like, what would happen?
Nobody is saying that. In fact, many people. I'm answering your question. Many people across the world, including politicians in this country, think tariffs can be used in a positive way. But there is a reason why nobody has ever done what Donald Trump has done, because it's a joke. It's ruining our economy.
He doesn't understand that tariffs come out of our pocket.
Exactly.
That's what MAGAs
don't understand. The White House is bragging about how the government has made billions of dollars off of these tariffs because they made it off the American consumer. We're the ones that are paying for it, and everybody else in the world is laughing. You think when these world leaders like President Xi and others get a letter, you think that's a deal? If I write a letter to Jessica Alba saying that I want to marry you, do you think Jessica Alba would say yes?
If I write a letter to my mortgage company saying I'm not paying my mortgage, I made a new deal.
Well, then,
you can't do that.
But if that's the case, then why do other countries put tariffs on us if it's going to destroy and charge?
Because they're not doing what Donald Trump is doing. You don't understand the difference.
Every country in the world has tariffs on us.
Do you not understand the difference?
No, they don't. That's not accurate.
That's also not true. But do you not understand
what country does not?
Vietnam.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Well, now you do.
Okay, let's say 90%.
Sir,
what'd you say?
Sir,
I'll call you tomorrow, Brian. Remember, I have MAGA, Democratic MAGA.
You're not a Democrat.
There's no such thing.
You're not a Democrat. There's no such thing as a Democratic MAGA, and you couldn't.
That's
even
like saying
name,
reality is a concept.
You couldn't even name one policy you like from the person that you voted for, which I find very daunting. And you said you voted for the lesser of two evils. You couldn't name one policy under Kamala Harris that you like, and yet you keep defending Donald Trump. I don't think you're a Democrat, and I don't think you're a MAGA. I would call you a right-wing buffoon who has TFS, also known as Trump fellatio syndrome. But I do appreciate your call, sir. Speaking of Donalds, let's go to Donald on line 5. Hi, Donald. Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey guys. Man, thanks for holding up democracy. This is crazy. How did you guys talk to him so long?
Well, the thing is,
I wanted to have an aneurysm. That's why.
It was a good opportunity in my mind to get somebody who's a MAGA bringing up these talking points, and they never have facts. They never understand. They're bringing up Iran. He didn't understand the Iran deal. All he's talking about the money.
Low information.
That is a MAGA talking
By the way,
point.
here's where I agree with Vivek Ramaswamy. There needs to be a level, some sort of IQ test, or you shouldn't be allowed to vote. I'm telling you, Donald Trump wouldn't have got 90% of his votes because that is the MAGA base, ladies and gentlemen. They can't tell you where Nebraska is on a map. They certainly can't tell you where China is or Ukraine is. And they want to go after transgenders. They don't even understand the basic rule of law. They don't understand what's in the Constitution. They couldn't pass a 6th grade civics test. I mean, I'm telling you, I agree with Vivek Ramaswamy. Donald Trump's base would be gone. They'd be gone.
It's weird. It is so weird. But anyway, guys, I wanted to tell you, I watched the interview with Donald.
Did we lose you, sir? There you go.
Hello?
He's back.
Can
He's
you hear
back.
me?
Yep, go right ahead. You're back.
Okay, yeah. I watched the interview with Donald Trump, and they asked him, this is about 20, 30 years ago, they asked him, would you ever run for president? He said, well, if I ever run for president, I would run as a Republican. He said, they asked him, I think it was with, what's the disc jockey name?
I know the interview that you're talking about because he also talked about policy. He talked about immigration. In that same talk, he talked about immigration. So it would indicate that his disdain for immigrants and particularly for Mexicans has been around for a long time.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said, I would run as a Republican because I could tell them anything and they would believe it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And I was wondering why that never came out when he said he wanted to run for president. I've never heard anybody ever say that.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people that keep a lot of things quiet these days, my friend. I do appreciate your call. We got some time constraints here, so we got to move on to the next call. I appreciate
Rapid
you,
fire.
Donald. Thank you. Let's go to line 6. Let's go to Mike. Hey, Mike, what's going on? Hey, Mike, go right ahead.
He might have hung.
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, listen, I just want to acknowledge how good you are with trying to create some kind of sense with some of these callers, especially when you are talking with the MAGA people. And you know, there's and you always use a lot or a good number. There's a lot of people, MAGA people. They have some real serious issues, and I know Leonard made reference to this also. They got some major issues with their thinking process.
Yeah, that's one nice way of putting it. Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. Trump won the
Even if you
2020
want-
There's a bit
election.
of- people in psychosis,
Yes.
their reality is just different than reality. That's just a clinical
They're
fact.
just lost. They're brainwashed and they're gone. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly. And Brian, you try so hard. Like this last caller, the Democratic MAGA. What was? I don't know what he was.
Yeah, I don't believe a word he said. He's a MAGA buffoon.
And wouldn't you agree, Mike, that Brian gave him every opportunity to state his case? He gave him every opportunity to use examples and explain himself. And you know what? He put out one talking point from News Nation or Fox News, and after that, he didn't know what to say.
It's a guy who gets his information from Matt Gaetz on AON or OAN or whatever the hell it's called. Yeah.
He had talking points. That's it.
Yeah, Jesse Waters is where he gets his information from. Laura Ingraham.
Exactly.
Sean Hannity.
I
These frickin' idiots.
Lauren Boebert.
Yeah. Yeah, Mark Levin. Are you a liberal? Mark Levin.
Call in. We're gonna go to commercial. Call in.
Hi, I'm Mark Levin. I'm an idiot, and I look as bad as I sound. Hi, I'm Mark Levin, and I defend Israel even if they're killing a million innocent
Right
children.
after this commercial, we'll take callers.
Hi.
Okay, we're back from commercial. Don't forget
Yeah.
to call in.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mark Levin, and I'll support Benjamin Netanyahu even if he bombs America. Frickin' idiot. Mark Levin. Who the hell's watching that guy, by the way?
I don't know, but every time I listen to him, he keeps asking for callers and goes to break and says we're going to callers.
Hello,
and then at
Mark?
the end of the break, he asks for more callers.
Yes, it's pretty sick. Mike, I appreciate the call. We got to. I'm going to try to get to one more quick phone
we're gonna
call.
squeeze it in.
Charles, I got about 30 seconds for you, my friend. Go right ahead.
Yeah, this question's for Leonard. Just wondering, why do you wear that necklace?
That is my. I wear a cross every day. I'm a Catholic. I grew up Catholic, and I happen to be a believer. And I guess we could have a debate all day about that, back and forth. But one of the reasons I wear it in public, and maybe even on this show, is I want people to know that the MAGAs and the Republicans that say they're Christians have no idea what a Christian is.
Charles, why are you asking him why he's wearing a cross?
It's not a Caroline Leavitt thing, just so you know.
Charles?
I was wondering where his
Charles, why do you wear
forgiveness is.
Charles? Why do you wear the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7?
Why
don't you, Charles? Here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to
do.
do, Charles. I want you to do what you do every single night, which is as follows.
Was he offended?
Charles, I know where Charles was trying to go with that. Charles, here's what I want you to do. Continue to do what you do every night. Wear your Donald Trump knee pads. Pleasure yourself to your Donald Trump poster and go to sleep happy, okay? Charles, you're an idiot, okay? Have a nice day. I know where you were going with that phone call. You're a moron, and you're not fooling anybody, okay, Charles? So have a nice day. I know where that guy was going. It's a complete idiot. Guy calls into the show every day.
Where was he going? Oh,
he's a moron. He's a moron.
Oh, okay.
He's a moron. He's trying to.
So he was just trolling.
Yeah, he's just an idiot. He's a guy who
trying to set somebody up.
He's a guy who pleasures himself to Donald Trump every day.
Well, I answered it honestly.
Yes,
you know that's just who I am.
I want to go to Locken on the YouTube super chat who says caller said Kamala had little power as vice president. Then why the hell were people calling her a war criminal throughout her campaign? That's a very good point you make, Locken, and you're 100% right on that one. Hey, it's been another fun show, Leonard.
That was great. It was
appreciate it.
A lot of information in a very tiny, small amount of time.
Yes, so we have a couple interesting guests tomorrow, by the way, Leonard.
I know.
A guy by the
Can't
name of
wait.
Shabazz Kestenbaum. Speaking of Israel, he makes a lot of appearances on CNN, Fox News, and Piers Morgan. He is extremely pro-Benjamin Netanyahu. I have a feeling me and him are going to get into it tomorrow. Also, a guy who was part of that Jubilee debate with Mehdi Hassan. He was actually there and asked some questions. He's going to be joining us in studio.
Wow, it's going to be a
His
good
name
show.
is Cyrus. He's going to be here tomorrow. And, of course, the beautiful and talented Nicole Mitchell. So we ask everyone check out Jackson's Bar and Grill located at Flamingo and Jones. Great promotions, including today is Wednesday. If you earn 500 points on any slot machine, you get a chance to win a scratch-off where you could win up to $50 in free slot play. They're doing that twice a week. Check them out Wednesdays and Saturdays.
go.
Jackson's Bar and Grill. Me and Leonard are going to head out there one of these days. We got to do that. And, of course, the YouTube Super Chat. We appreciate all of your support. Pushing the Limits.live. Everybody on the Really American Network. This is our second week on there. It's been great so far. We appreciate all of you. And Leonard will be back hopefully Wednesday.
Thanks for
next
having
week.
me.
Leonard, it's
Next
always great to
Wednesday,
see you. I love it when you're here, my friend. All right, everybody. And thanks to Ryan Shedd for joining us as well. He's a great guy. He's got a new podcast. We will see you tomorrow, everybody. It's Friday. Have a great day.
Have a good weekend, Brian.